I'm going to just do a little video here about what you might need to consider when playing in a band. Hopefully, you know, some of you out there are already in bands, so you already know some of this, so you can, or maybe you'll gain one or two bits of useful information from it. But maybe those out there who are thinking about being in a band or looking for a band and wondering what it's all about, I encourage you, even if it's just jamming with some local guys, playing with other musicians is the most important aspect of improving on the guitar. There are so many things you can learn. You learn about timing, you learn about parts, you learn about harmony, you learn about playing together. All these things can't really be taught sitting at home watching videos or just jamming along to tracks. I mean, jamming along to tracks is a good way of getting your timing going, but without the interaction with other people and the variations and moving and seeing how things, dynamics work, it doesn't teach you those things. It's very much on the job training. And I think the best way to really improve, if you've got to a certain level on the guitar, you know, you've got over that hump of not being able to play notes, but you can play some chords now and you're doing okay. And going out there and actually doing that will make your playing jump light years. You'll figure out the things you can't do so you can focus in more on what you need to practice. You'll also learn about parts, about how to play different bits and what you actually need to play. So one of the first things I'd say about particularly being a guitarist and playing in a band is just remember the important rule. And this is something my Berklee teacher Mike told me. Part of a lesson that always sticks with me is remember, what do you spend 95% of the time, any gig, doing? And you're like, oh, playing rhythm. You spend most of your time, even if you are a kind of incredible shredder, you know, if you're playing in a typical band situation, as I said typical there, you will be spending most of your time playing rhythm. Look at Eddie Van Halen. He was supporting David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, Gary Cherone 95% of the time. Then he got to Well and he got to do his little solo thing. The different caveat there is if you're playing instrumental music, which is a different thing, then you'll probably be playing more melodic lines. But that's not great if you're just playing by yourself. You need to be able to accompany yourself. So some aspect of rhythm and harmonic content is really important. So focus on that. If your practice regime should almost mirror that. You should be practicing perhaps 95% of the time, getting your rhythm chops up to scratch, and then 5% on all the little noodly bits if you're playing in a traditional kind of band environment supporting with a singer. Yeah. And I've said this on other videos before, if you practice your rhythm playing, your lead playing will come on tenfold, because you're working your fingers in different ways and you're actually doing a lot more to get finger independence by playing strange chord shapes and different parts and rhythmic things than you are just by practicing single notes and single finger exercises. So bear that in mind. The second thing, and it also came from Mike at Berklee, was think about your zone. Yeah, where do you fit in to the sonic structure of a band? Now, if you are a one guitar band with a bass player and drums, you've got a lot more scope because the sonic field is a lot amplier. You know, the frequency range that you're filling up is much wider. But the more instruments you start adding into that, the closer together the amount of space you've got to operate in becomes, because you've got a keyboard player filling in some of that frequency content. You've got a bass player down there. You might have another guitarist, and you've got your horn section sitting up a little bit higher. Great arrangements and great production and even great orchestral music, if you look at orchestral music, sits with instruments working in specific ranges of frequency, and then they all mesh together to create a glorious piece, a glorious whole part of the puzzle. Think about what your part is. Now, the simple thing, two guitar band, for example, if one guy's playing an E down there and you're playing an E down there, you're filling up the same part of the frequency spectrum, and there's a whole other area down this bit which is empty. Yeah? So One guy play there, play an octave higher. Again, you playing big chords like that, you're filling in a lot of it, because if we take, for example, the frequency range of a guitar tuned standard, that's 80 Hertz, and we double octaves as we go higher, 160, 320, yeah, 640 roughly, give or take. Yeah, so if you're sitting down here, the things around 640 aren't being filled in, but you know, that's where the vocal lines start to come in. A human voice starts singing about 150, 200 Hertz going upwards. So if you're playing around that frequency, you're going to clash them with the vocals, perhaps. It's really useful learning different frequency ranges of instruments and see how you fit in, and also which notes you're playing. Also, you know, I'm now playing this full chord. I'm filling in lots of different frequencies and overtones across the spectrum, and I'm kind of loading it towards the bottom. So sometimes it can be really effective to just play single note lines. You know, you've got to look at a lot of funk music for this, single lines and double stop lines. You know, look at the master of all of kind of writing hit singles. Nile Rodgers plays pretty much on the kind of within 2 or 3 strings high up. Yeah, bass is sitting in its own space, it's living in its own zone. Yeah, you're in your own zone, the vocals are in their own zone, the horns are a bit higher, but you're all sitting in your own zone. Whilst it's great to really hit some big power chords, if you're playing in a larger band, think about those chords, think about where they fit into the spectrum. You know, you've got the bass, particularly with kind of metal music, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in that low end. So if you're thinking, oh, it sounds muddy and it doesn't sound clear, just take everything up an octave. One guitar plays up an octave, see what happens, see how the things mesh together, learn a little bit about harmony, how you could play maybe different parts of a chord or different parts of a note to expand that. That's, you know, a couple of tips on playing guitar with a band and what you need to bear in mind. The other things go without saying. You know, if you're in a band, be professional, turn up on time, learn your parts, learn your bits. You know, rehearsals aren't for learning songs, they're for putting the pieces together within the band context. Yeah, it's for the whole band to get together and figure everything out. Of course, we've all got our ego, we all want to kind of solo and show off and do the things we do, we want people to look at us, but there is a time and a place for that. Don't steal the show and ruin it for everyone when it isn't your time to steal the show, if you see what I'm saying. Yeah, you all get your rewards eventually with your guitar solo. Make it shine. Don't worry about making mistakes. We all make mistakes from time to time. The best thing to think is, how do I recover from that mistake? And the thing is not to panic. Just think next note. The next note's going to be fine. Only think about the next note ahead. If you've made a big clashing mistake, it throws you. You think, oh, I don't know what to do. What shall I do? Just think about, what's the next note? Where can I get back into the rhythm? Where can I join back in and carry on? Make a joke out of it. You go, just laugh, let yourself relax, and then you start playing. Again, you're back into it, yeah? Don't just, I played the wrong note, and freeze and go, oh, shock, yeah. We all do it. Even the best people do it. Don't be mistaken sometimes when you listen to live albums. A lot of these live albums have had some overdubbing done to correct some of the mistakes or kind of fade them out or things like that. So they're not always perfect representations. Yeah, all the greats make mistakes, so don't worry. Embrace it, be part of it, make a joke out of it, carry on. Just think, next note is going to be fine. And most of all, enjoy it. Figure out your parts, figure out what you're going to play, make it sound sonically wonderful, and then enjoy it. I'd love to hear some of your tips. Catch you later. I'd just like to say, if you found any of these tips useful and you'd like more, please do check out my guitar creativity book. It's 70 pages packed full of tips, advice, tricks to just help you improve, A, as a guitar player, and B, as a creative, really helping you to open your mind to the possibilities on the instrument and ways you can take your playing to the next level. You can check out a link below, and the link below, if you've watched this part of the video, will entitle you to 25% off the price. So please please do click that link, check out the book. I'm sure you will find the ideas will change the way you think about the guitar and improve your playing no end.